You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, Parsons first responders want to express their gratitude towards those who helped with last week's fire.
Also, 2 people were transported to the hospital overnight after a car rear-ends a dump truck on I-44.
And clouds will be increasing today, but that will not stop the temperatures from increasing. The latest on that very warm forecast from the KOA. It's coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
It's been a long morning already. I don't know what's going on. I've thrown this. I haven't been able to speak very clearly. I either got too much sleep or not enough. One of those two things. Well, I'm Chris Warner. It's just after 7 a.m. coming up on 7:01 on this Tuesday morning. And we are almost halfway through June, which is just wild to believe. It's already the 11th. There's only 30 days in this month. So
the more we say it, the harder to believe it feels.
Yeah.
I feel like June just started.
I know, it does. And driving around, you see the fireworks tents going up. You're like, whoa, hold up, slow down. It cannot be that time yet, but it's almost fireworks time.
Halfway through the year almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? Where is this time gone?
I don't even know. Well, unfortunately, the Parsons Police Department is recognizing the efforts of Good Samaritans following a fatal house fire. Authorities say they have been interviewing those who assisted to learn more about their actions and to also thank them for stepping up.
KOAM Samantha Walker shares the gratitude these first responders had towards these Good Samaritans.
I feel for the remaining kids that are still alive, all her friends, family, co-workers. It's a horrible tragedy.
Tragedy is the word that has been used to describe this fatal house fire in Parsons, which took the life of a mother and her 18-month-old baby. But in this story of tragedy, a bit of good is brought to light.
As a community, when something like this happens, that we are there for each other, that we are there to support each other, help each other. This tragedy could have been a lot worse had it not been for the Good Samaritans.
Following the fire, the Parsons Police Department was made aware of the involvement of several Good Samaritans. They asked for those involved to come forward to do interviews with authorities so they can learn more about what happened. Officials say many were helping to assist victims even before firefighters, EMS, and police arrived.
We had some that brought the kids out and the mom. We had others that were helping take them across the street to get them away from the fire. We had some just there to help in any way they could.
Authorities in Parsons say they just want to thank the brave Good Samaritans who stepped up in a time of need.
The biggest thing I could tell them is that how much and how grateful that we at the police department, that they were there and that they could help this family. And while it still ended up being a tragedy with the 2 deaths, we still have, the remaining people. And to me, that's important, that they stepped up and helped.
Reporting in Parsons, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
The Parsons Police Department says they're still investigating the fire, including its cause.
Multiple other agencies are involved, including the Kansas State Fire Marshal's Office and the Labette County Sheriff's Office. So again, they're still looking for some of those Good Samaritans who stepped up. Obviously, no one's in trouble. They're not looking to come. They're just trying to recognize those who did step up and help, and see if maybe some of them got there in time. Maybe have a better clue as to what they witnessed as this fire began to grow, and maybe help them figure out what happened.
Absolutely. It's a tragic story.
Very, very tragic.
Could have been a lot worse, too, if people didn't come and help. So
yeah, thanks to those Good Samaritans stepping up. Well, temperatures are going to be warming up across the area, and they're going to gradually get into the 90s eventually. So get ready for June to really settle in. Let's start with a quick look outside from our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Of course, sun already well up there in the sky. A few clouds looking to the east, but again, the MoDOT camera 30-second range line shows where you can see that kind of cloud cloud line off to the north, a little harder to see, but is right through here, and it's been gradually making its way closer to Joplin, and so we're going to see those clouds continue to increase. Quick reminder, through 8 o'clock, we have this aerial flood advisory out there, and then embedded in that, we have a number of river, creek, stream flood warnings and advisories. So as we've mentioned, if you're heading out to the water today, again, maybe you got some time off, maybe it's nearby, it's in your community, and you just want to step by this afternoon when it gets hot, you need to be taking precautions out there in these flood areas because those waters are they're higher than you're used to, they're moving faster than you're used to. If the local officials say you need to stay out, don't let your family trip turn into tragedy. Listen to them, stay out of the water. You'll have plenty of opportunities later to cool off this summer. Clouds again increasing. It's about the only thing on the future track as we head into the afternoon, and eventually by the evening they'll start to clear back out, so partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures for about the last time for the foreseeable future, a bit below average for some of us. Still some upper 50s, starting to see low to mid 60s out there, and that is ahead of highs today in the low to mid 80s. Again, clouds gradually increasing through the morning into the afternoon, and then they'll gradually decrease as we head later into the evening into the overnight hours. We're going to talk about just how hot it's going to get and how long this heat sticks around in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, just before midnight, I-44 westbound traffic was halted for an hour as a car crashed into the rear end of a dump truck in a work zone. Joplin police say 3 people in the car were transported to area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. The work zone operates overnight 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. It covers an area along I-44 near the South Main Street exit. It began 2 weeks ago as MoDOT is working on bridges. The crash occurred at highway speeds. However, officials ask you to slow down in work zones. Numerous workers were present during the crash and no one was injured. A Denwick, Missouri man is charged with child sex crimes. Jasper County detectives last week searched the home of 36-year-old David Arnhart as part of their investigation. They arrested him during the search, and he is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree sodomy and 1 count of furnishing pornographic material to a minor. Ascension Via Christi Hospital in Pittsburgh bounces back after a ransomware attack earlier this year. Hospital officials say patient documentation technology is back online. The systems were taken offline following the ransomware attack. Officials say this update should mean improved efficiencies in wait times for patients. The Erie, Kansas City Public Library in Neosho County Conservation District held a Conservation Day program yesterday. The program emphasizes to kids the importance of different organisms and cycles in our environment. Officials also hope it sparks interest in children for career paths in conservation in the future.
It gives them an interest. You know, at a young age like that, it gives them an interest, and then when they get into high school, maybe that interest is stuck with them and they can start looking into careers of how they can get into conservation of some sort.
The students also got to celebrate their own edible dirt to learn more about soil. And those are our top stories this half hour. Coming up next, Charlene shares an easy recipe for festive deviled eggs. We'll be right back, but before we head to break, here's a live look from the SEK Nature Center in Galena, Kansas.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, and once again, our good friend Charlene Patton joining us down from Topeka at the Kansas Soybean Commission. Always great to have you on the show. You always bring in healthy recipes. I was talking to you about this. I said that every time you come, it's probably the healthiest I eat ever. I'm not saying anything about my wife. She makes amazing meals, but I'm just saying it is extraordinarily healthy food here, and it tastes great all the time, too. We've got some incredible deviled eggs, and it's all part of a special deal going on to help with kids during summer.
It is. And talk about healthy. This is a healthy recipe for deviled eggs because we're using soy sour cream in it with the mayonnaise. So we'll talk about that. But since you mentioned getting kids involved in the kitchen, I love this sheet. It's called The Thrill of Skill, and it starts out at age 2 and tells kids ideas for parents of what they can do in the kitchen. And one thing we didn't mention, but whenever you have kids in the kitchen, be sure to have them start out washing their hands. Get them ready to prep and know that they need to do that. They should gather all the ingredients. It helps them for organization and to make sure you have everything to make that recipe, right? So we want to do that. Now with this deviled egg recipe, I actually hard cooked 6 eggs to begin with. That's a step that probably mom and dad want to do and help with that. That's right. But then this recipe was actually developed for my 3.5-year-old granddaughter. Okay. I don't know about your kids, but all my grandchildren love deviled eggs.
Oh, so do mine. So do mine. So I mean, who doesn't love a good deviled egg, though?
So what we did is then after we cooked them, we peeled them and then took the yolks and mashed them. And she loved taking the fork, mashing those yolks. And then, Chris, to this, we've added 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, and the first ingredient in that on that mayonnaise jar is soybean oil. So it's one of our ingredients. And then 1/4 cup of the soy sour cream. So that is giving us a healthy version of our, for our ingredient. And then we put in 1 tablespoon of mustard. Mix that together, which is easy for kids of all ages to do. And then we filled our eggs here. The part of this that I love for our 3-year-old love to do is that I gave her all kinds of choices to decorate them. And she used vegetables. We have green onions, shredded carrots, shredded cheese, little bit of red pepper. But then we also used some edamame. And I wanted to show that because you can get edamame as a snack. It's in the frozen food section of the grocery store, but each of these is a snack pack of edamame that's ready to go. So when you go to the ball diamond this summer, the soccer field, here's a nutritious snack that you can take that'll be nice and cold and ready for them to eat. Now we'll mention that.
Yes, because we've got the thrill of skill. We're getting kids involved in doing things. There's also soy crayons that you can get when you call. And the interesting thing about soy crayons is, there they are, first off, you can get a little over 2,100 soy crayons out of 1 bushel of soybeans. The oil from 1 bushel gets you 2,100 of these. 1 acre of soybeans can produce just over 82,000 soy crayons. So talk about being renewable here with these resources. So
who would know?
I know. I until now I did not know this. And of course, if folks want these, the thrill of skill, the recipe, or anything else, where can they go?
They should go to kansassoybeans.org. Call Megan. She'll answer the phone, and she's going to also send them all kinds of kids' activities for summer. There's a link on the recipe sheet that goes to the activities for kids of all ages. So we're going to keep them busy this summer for mom and dad.
All right, and that's something that keeps them out of trouble too. And of course, if you missed out on any of that, be on our website later this morning, KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:17 on this Tuesday morning, and we're taking a live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Just a few clouds to the east, but we're seeing more clouds building into the north from the MODOC camera 32nd in range line. And you can see some, looks like some clouds off to the west there on the MODOC camera at US 60, Missouri 59, back down in Neosho. A reminder about the aerial flood advisory that continues through 8 o'clock this morning, and then we've got a number of River Creek stream flood warnings and advisories out there. So as we've been mentioning all morning, don't let your family trip to the water turn into a tragedy. If you get down there, those waters are too high, they're moving too fast, or the officials say it's too dangerous to enter, heed their warning. Don't do so. You'll have plenty of time to cool down this summer. And besides, you may want to save your cool down for when we start getting in the 90s by this weekend. Only thing on the future track is the increasing cloud cover, so we'll be partly to mostly cloudy out there today. That does not stop us from getting a bit warmer today, and then once those clouds clear out towards sunrise tomorrow. We will have an even warmer day for our Wednesday across the area, so do be prepared for that. Now, don't let the clouds fool you either. That does not have an impact on our UV index because we're still going to get enough sunshine in between that the UV index is still very high at 9.7. Your burn time for unprotected skin is about 15 minutes. So again, I know some jobs you've got to be outdoors. Make sure you are taking precautions if you have to be outside, and where possible, limit the amount of time you spend outside as well, just to make sure you're staying safe. There's another view of those clouds rolling into the area from our camera at 7th and Rangeline. 64 in Joplin, south-southeast breeze at 7. We started our day with a number of folks still below average for lows. We still have some of those out there. We got some upper 50s, still some low 60s here and there. But this is the last time we're going to start our day below normal. We get through the morning, again, partly cloudy skies, mostly cloudy in some cases as those clouds increase. 77 by 11 o'clock this morning. We'll start to go mostly cloudy heading into the afternoon. Some of us, though, still be partly cloudy. And our highs today, low to mid 80s across the area, so already starting to warm up. We go into the evening, we'll gradually see these clouds kind of ease up a bit and go partly cloudy overnight. Lows back into the low 60s, so relatively close to normal for this time of year. However, we're going to really start to warm up. Tomorrow, again, sunny, upper 80s. Sunny skies, again, except for Saturday and Tuesday, where we'll be partly cloudy. Temperatures warming into low to mid 90s. Look at Sunday. Now, bear in mind, of course, these temperatures are not including any heat index values. So we're looking at that point of getting into dangerous heat around the area. You got to stay hydrated, make sure you're being careful outside. And then the overnight lows, as mentioned, going to go well above average into the low 70s across the area. We might see a shower or two Thursday, keeping an eye on that. Otherwise, sunny skies most of the day. Our best chance of rain next Wednesday. That's checking your forecast. We're back with more right after this. Well, a bit of kindness can go a long way, and across the pond, one man makes it his mission every day.
And he's changing lives because of it. Tina Kraus reports.
Giving cars a new lease on life is how mechanic Paul Barker pays the bills.
Repair, air conditioning, diagnostics.
He's been at it for nearly 20 years. From his workshop just outside London. But what really revs him up is paying it forward.
So what happened? Cutting your hedge?
Doing free repairs of just about anything for anyone struggling to make ends meet.
A lady's just dropped off a broken hedge trimmer where she's cut the cord.
Baul adds it to the patch-up pile and heads home for the day, where a spirit of generosity follows him.
These are tea bags.
Someone left them on his doorstep, knowing he'd add them to the stack for UK charities.
More beans, biscuits.
Paul also runs a freebase site for his community. Every evening, his hands hit the keyboard to help match donated items like this electric scooter to neighbors in need.
When are we doing?
Sunday if possible. All right.
15-year-old Jack is happy to help his dad.
I'm the guy in red, yeah?
It's another way for them to bond between Xbox matches.
Yes!
And kicking around ideas about what matters most in life.
Be true to yourself. Be honest. Be a decent person. Give to others.
The payoff can be priceless. That scooter donated on Freebay went to 84-year-old Mick Staines, who needed the wheels.
If it struggles going uphill or something, you can just turn this speed up a bit.
Yeah.
Now he can make the trip he's been wanting to, down the road to the cemetery. His wife died a few months ago. All of Paul's goodwill isn't going unnoticed. To Jack, he's a real hero.
He may not feel like he is, but to me, he really is.
There's nothing more this single dad could ask for as he passes along life lessons.
Tackle him.
While scoring one for humanity.
What a great guy.
Yeah, that's an impressive way to give back to the community. And it's interesting, too, how the community is giving to him because they know he'll give back to them.
Yeah, great to see. Well, coming up, the UN Council has backed a ceasefire plan for the war in Gaza. We'll have the details on what this means for the region.
And we've got another warm day out there. Clouds increasing, but don't let that fool you, as we're going to see temperatures even warmer today. We'll have another look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. I'm Elise Noe. The Missouri Department of Conservation announced it's temporarily closing the Walter Woods Conservation Area in Newton County. The department says it noted structural concerns with vehicular and pedestrian bridges during a recent inspection. A reopening date has not yet been set because of EPA remediation work scheduled to begin there later this year. The inspection was a precursory step in the remediation work. The Southeast Kansas Nature Center is celebrating 20 years. The SEK Nature Center is located in Schermerhorn Park, south of Galena. You can find snakes, salamanders, frogs, turtles, and more in the Nature Center. The goal of the center is to introduce wildlife and to educate the community about native Kansas wildlife.
So first of all, try and give the wildlife some space if at all possible, especially because you might get to see whatever it is you're looking at do some of their fun natural behaviors, but also get the phone out, take a picture and appreciate that moment. You know, it's neat to see what kind of animals that we have around and plants and mushrooms and everything else, but you know, enjoy it, but give it a little bit of space.
The Nature Center is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. For state golfers raise money for children battling disease. Storms postponed the Freeman Health System Tournament of Miracles last week, so it teed off yesterday instead at Twin Hills Golf and Country Club in Joplin. The 18-hole four-person scramble raised money for Children's Miracle Network Hospital at Freeman Health System.
To get out here and through this partnership, you know, we're making miracles happen, and with the help of our community partners, we're going to continue to make miracles for our local children here for a long time.
This is the 32nd year Freeman has hosted the Tournament of Miracles. The young musicians yesterday had a chance to advance their skills as Pitt State hosted the Josiah Fletcher Jazz Camp for students in 6th through 12th grades. The two-day camp provides the students with an educational experience regardless of their skill level. The camp is hosted in honor of Josiah Fletcher, a Pittsburgh high school student and bass player who passed away during his senior year.
We are so grateful for all our supporters. We've had so many supporters that have come in and made this possible. This is a really great opportunity for some of our students to work not only in a wonderful facility like the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts, but then also with these professional musicians to truly get even more tips that they can take and put into their own practice.
The camp continues later today before it's capped off with a concert at 6 p.m. Well, did you know that alpacas can be pregnant for over a year? Meet Wild Ivy, the newest addition to the Magajupa mine, alpacas in southeast Joplin near Denawag. Her mother was pregnant 357 days before she gave birth to the baby Orchrea alpaca. Wild Ivy turned 1 week old today and officially received her name. The farm now has 13 total in its alpaca herd.
Enjoyable to take them to nursing homes and to birthday parties. The kids enjoy it. I like to watch them right in the evening time, right before it gets dark, because they'll all start doing their running. And the younger ones, when they get done running, they'll pronk, and that means that they just bounce. And it's pretty fun to watch. And when you have a bunch of little ones, they'll just chase each other until they're tired, and they'll just lay down.
Magajupa will also be hosting a U-Pig flower farm in the coming weeks. Now let's check in with Chris for a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we've got another warm day out there. It's gradually going to get warmer over the next several days. Clouds beginning to increase. We've been watching this cloud line off to the north of Joplin slowly get closer. Seeing a few more clouds out ahead of it on the MoDOT camera 32nd and range line. Quick reminder, aerial flood advisory here continues through 8 a.m. And then it's harder to see, but you've got these various river, creek, and stream flood warnings and advisories. So again, if you're heading to the water, especially in these flooded areas, don't chance it. if officials say it's too dangerous to get in the water, simply don't do that. Only thing on the future track heading into this afternoon and this evening is the partly to mostly cloudy skies as those clouds increase around the area, but that does not stop our temperatures from increasing as we head into the afternoon. Right now, again, this is our last opportunity for some somewhat below normal temperatures to start the day. So we've got a couple of upper 50s out there, starting to see a lot more low to mid 60s as the sun rises and we warm up. Our highs today a little warmer than yesterday, low to mid 80s, and again clouds gradually increasing, and we'll go partly to mostly cloudy as we head through the afternoon, and then later in the evening those clouds will gradually begin to decrease ahead of a sunny and even warmer day tomorrow. We'll have all details on that and just how hot it's going to get this weekend here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon. Well, the United Nations Security Council approved a plan to end the fighting in Gaza, and both Israel and Hamas seem open to it. This follows months of negotiations since the start of the war. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more from New York.
Dramatic video released by Israel shows its soldiers storming a building and rescuing 3 hostages over the weekend. A 4th was rescued nearby. All had been kidnapped from the music festival on October 7th. More than 270 Palestinians and 1 Israeli soldier were killed during the operation. Pressure on both sides to end the war has continued to build.
14 votes in favor, 0 votes against, 1 abstention.
After several tries, the UN Security Council approved a ceasefire proposal. The 3-phase plan would start with the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, the withdrawal of Israeli troops from populated parts of Gaza, and the distribution of aid. The final phase is a multi-year reconstruction plan for Gaza.
Hamas can now see that the international community is united.
Hamas released a statement saying it welcomes the deal. Part of it read, quote, Hamas emphasizes its readiness to cooperate with the mediators. The UN resolution says Israel has accepted the proposal.
If Hamas were to release the hostages and turn themselves in, not one more shot needs to be fired.
President Biden said on X, quote, Hamas says it wants a ceasefire. This deal is an opportunity to prove they mean it. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on a trip to the Middle East where he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to push for a ceasefire deal. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Apple is taking a deep dive into the world of artificial intelligence. We'll have the details on the future upgrades. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from caves of the SEK Nature Center. In Consumer Watch this morning, the FDA launching a new task force to combat the sale of illicit e-cigarettes. The task force will aim to take down the sale and distribution of illegal vaping products, especially those aimed at younger consumers. The effort comes after the FDA issued more than 1,100 warning letters to manufacturers, importers, distributors, and retailers for illegally distributing and selling unauthorized tobacco products. The FDA has only authorized the sale of 23 tobacco-flavored e-cigarette products to date. Well, iPhone users have a new way to pay each other. The Tap to Pay feature lets users pay for things by tapping together a pair of iPhones. Apple says the feature transfers money without having to share any personal information. The new payment feature was one of several iOS 18 updates announced yesterday at Apple's annual Worldwide Developers Conference. And the company is also diving into the artificial intelligence world with a system-wide update to software on its devices. Apple says its AI features will be able to do things for you in apps. The new AI system can scan users' personal information to do things like gauge traffic patterns ahead of an atypical commute or proofread text in a dynamic way. With other companies already knee-deep in AI, is this announcement too little too late? Fox Business correspondent Susan Lee has more from New York.
All of this goes beyond artificial intelligence. It's personal intelligence, and it's the next big step for Apple.
That's Apple CEO Tim Cook explaining Apple Intelligence, the company's plan for incorporating artificial intelligence, or AI, into its devices.
And the introduction of powerful new Apple Intelligence features make these releases game changers. Built in a uniquely Apple way.
The AI plan was buried behind other announcements at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference Monday. It's an important move for Apple after it fell behind in Silicon Valley's AI arms race. Competitor Microsoft and chipmaker Nvidia have at times overtaken Apple as the world's biggest company and second most valuable company.
Is Apple actually going to lead in AI instead of follow?
Historically, Apple tends to team up with other companies, infusing its sleek designs and marketing to overcome a slow start to trends.
The problem I have with Apple is that its core business with smartphones is too big to get excited about the underlying innovation with Apple. So as an investor, I'm curious to see, if Apple's ever going to break up into smaller companies, and the innovation business can focus on that without the fat attached.
No matter how Apple's new AI initiative is received, how AI stocks continue to perform, it's important to a lot of Americans.
What will happen this week with Nvidia, with Apple, and with AI writ large will matter a lot to all of our 401ks.
Bringing more AI into the iPhone will likely raise privacy issues, but Apple continues to assure its customers that it can be trusted. In New York, Susan Lee, Fox Business.
And those are our top consumer stories. Now let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is 7:44 now on this Tuesday morning. Live look from our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Clouds again increasing from the north, and they will continue to do so as we'll begin to go mostly cloudy into the afternoon. There's another view of those clouds slowly sink into the south across the area from MoDOT camera. 32nd and range line. MoDOT camera down in Neosho on 60 and 59, looking back to the west. Still looking okay so far, but we'll start to go partly to mostly cloudy heading into the afternoon. Aerial flood advisory again continues through 8 o'clock this morning, and then embedded within that and outside of that, we have a number of river, creek, and stream flood warnings and advisories. So as we've been mentioning all morning, can't emphasize it enough. If you're heading to the water, maybe it's, you're right next door to one of these places, make sure that you're taking precautions. If the water levels are too high, they're moving too fast, or the local officials say it's too dangerous to enter, listen to them. Don't make your family trip turn into a tragedy. You can always come back and visit the water when it's a little safer. Clouds will gradually increase as we head through the morning into the afternoon, so we'll be partly to mostly cloudy. Despite that, though, the temperatures are going to be a little warmer today. They'll begin to gradually clear out late this evening into the overnight. We'll go partly cloudy tonight, and then we'll look at sunny skies tomorrow, and that will allow us to get even hotter tomorrow ahead of temperatures continuing to rise. And even though we are looking at those mostly cloudy skies, UV index today still 9.7, a very high. Burn time's 15 minutes for exposed skin. So do make sure that you're taking precautions, especially if your work is outdoors. You've got to make sure you're playing it safe out there. And where you can, limit the time that you are outside. So don't let the clouds deceive you. It can still be dangerous out there. Another view of those clouds increasing from our camera 7th and range line. 64 in Joplin right now. South-southeast breeze at about 7. That's the other side of this too, is the winds are going to be light and variable today. So you're not going to get much relief from the heat through the winds, unfortunately. Temperatures, all of us now into the 60s, except for Parsons, still sitting at 59, and this is the last morning where we're going to be starting below normal. At least it should be. We may have a few cooler temperatures tomorrow morning. After that, though, everybody going to start to warm up even overnight. Partly cloudy skies, maybe even mostly cloudy through the morning as those clouds increase. 77 by 11 o'clock this morning. Our highs today, again, warmer than yesterday. We'll go low to mid 80s with those partly to mostly cloudy skies. And again, clouds begin to break up a bit through the late evening hours and into the overnight, going partly cloudy back into the low 60s. Then after that, sunny skies except for Saturday and Tuesday. We're partly cloudy. Look at these temperatures increasing. We head into the weekend. We're talking low, mid, maybe even upper 90s out there. So make sure you're staying hydrated. And that's not even counting any potential heat index values either. On top of that, look at the overnight lows into the low 70s. So some very mild nights ahead of us as well, with some rain chances possible by next Wednesday. That's checking your forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Friends of a nursing student who has cerebral palsy created award-winning technology to aid their classmate in doing daily tasks on the job.
Fox News' Steve Nielsen shares how technology is helping out.
What's about to happen next is an award-winning moment that makes everything a lot easier.
To one side and then the other.
Lauren Matsky can now just slip on her glove using one hand.
Learning independence, not having to rely on people, and how it's going to help me in the future.
Lauren is an incredible student at West Mech's Medical Assistant Program. Laughing with her classmates now, her journey began at just 1 day old. She had a stroke, which caused cerebral palsy. She only has full use of one hand, but wants to be a nurse more than anything.
It's just from the experience I have had in the operating room and getting prepped and just help the kids that have cerebral palsy.
Yeah. Her instructor was ready to make sure Lauren could do everything her classmates could.
Drawing blood was my biggest obstacle. I wanted her to be able to draw blood.
But gloves became an issue.
We wanted to be able to help her.
It was her friends in class that designed these 3D printed clamps with hooks. They even won an award for them.
It did help Lauren a lot, and she's able to do things more independently now.
Lauren's become an inspiration. She doesn't just pass classes, she thrives.
She doesn't let anything stop her. I've never had anybody try so hard. She has a goal, and she wants to make it. She wants to be a nurse, and I think she will.
And she has a message for anyone that doubts her.
Just because I do it differently doesn't mean I'm doing it necessarily wrong.
Well, it's an excellent point, and it's great to see her classmates rally behind her, be so innovative in caring for her as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like her teacher said, I think she's going to make a great nurse someday, and I think that's fantastic because she'll be able to connect with patients on multiple levels.
Certainly.
And we've got still some flooding concerns remaining in the area. I want to take a quick reminder of those flood advisories and flood warnings across the area. We have the aerial flood advisory that continues through 8 o'clock this morning, and then we still have a number of aerial flood warnings for area creeks, streams, and rivers. And we'll show you those here in just a moment across the region. And those the ones for the creeks and rivers and streams have varying expiration times. So some of them continue as late as tomorrow evening. And we don't need to show you them. Don't worry about it. You've seen them before. It's going to be another warm one, though. Our temperatures today are going to warm up into the low to mid 80s, and that's ahead of temperatures increasing into the 90s as we head into the weekend. Plus, you folks at home know we have very muggy summers out there, so that will result in heat index values possibly going into this weekend into the triple digits. So
time to turn up that air conditioning.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to have the air conditioning ready to go. We'll have another look at your forecast, plus the news you need to know when the KOAM Morning News returns.
And here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Jasper County authorities arrest 36-year-old David Arnhart for child sex crimes. The arrest was made during a search of his home. He is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree sodomy and 1 count of furnishing pornographic material to a minor. Missouri Department of Conservation announced it's temporarily closing the Walter Woods Conservation Area in Newton County. The department says it noted structural concerns with vehicular and pedestrian bridges during a recent inspection. A reopening date has not yet been set. Ascension Via Christi Hospital in Pittsburgh is fully operational again after a ransomware attack earlier this year. Hospital officials say patient documentation technology is back online. Officials say this update should mean improved efficiencies in wait times for patients.
And skies will be mostly cloudy as we head into the afternoon. Maybe some partly cloudy skies here and there. So remember, that means that UV index still very high, though. You got to make sure you're taking precautions. Highs low to mid 80s, and a light and variable wind means no relief from the heat, at least not from a breeze. Clouds begin to break up as we head through the evening and overnight hours. We'll go partly cloudy tonight, back into the low 60s, and temperatures continue to warm up. Sunshine returns, and we're going into the mid 90s by this weekend, which means heat index values could easily be into the triple digits. Our next best chance of rain at this point looks to be next Wednesday, and then our overnight lows well above average too over the next several nights as they crawl up into the low 70s.
All righty. Well, Yarn Bombing Day is celebrated today, June 11th, every year to honor crocheting or knitting patterns onto public structure or form. Yarn bombing is said to be done with a spirit of beautification, bringing colorful patterns to everyday sites.
Knitting is great exercise for your fine motor skills, works as a stress reliever, and can knit a sense of community. You can celebrate Yarn Bombing Day by researching past projects, creating your own masterpieces, and searching for any local events to celebrate with others. And until today, I have never ever heard of this.
Neither have I seen this.
I think I've seen things like that, but I've never actually.
Before.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've seen it. Yeah.
Maybe I'll crochet around my neighbor.
That sounds like a fan. I'm sure your neighbors would thoroughly enjoy that too. Perhaps we could crochet the studio.
Ooh. That'd be fun for every holiday. I'll get working on my 4th of July, red, white, and blue.
There's plenty of spaces in here that you could crochet over.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, you could yarn bomb the newsroom. It needs some new color.
It needs some new color. Indeed.
It does. We recently painted it. It's not quite done yet, but it could use a little more vibrant color. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.